everyone, and welcome to the Around the Ballpark podcast. My name is Mike Redman alongside Darren Redman, and we are here today to talk the 2024 Texas Rangers. And to do that, we have with us Connor Jeffers along. We're so grateful to have you on with us. Can't wait to dive in. But before we do, Darren, a quick word about our sponsor.
In the heart of Palm Bay, where the ocean meets the sky, there's a place where tax worries meet the rent. Whether you need to file years of missing returns, current year return, or you just need relief from a tax lien or a levy, Nashville Tax Solutions has solutions for you. Nashville Tax Solutions is your trusted partner in tax resolution industry. At Nashville Tax Solutions, we understand that the stress and confusion that tax problems can bring, and we want to put an end to that. That's why we're here to offer clarity, relief, and peace of mind. The experts at Nashville Tax Solutions are professionals who are dedicated to providing personalized solutions tailored to your unique situation. So please call Nashville Tax Solutions at 615-502-2250 and check out their website at nashvilletaxsolutions.com or send an email to info@nashvilletaxsolutions.com. Nashville Tax Solutions, where tax solution is achieved and resolved. Well, that was a tough one.
Thank you, Darren. And again, thanks. Shout out to Chris Bennett and Nashville Tax Solutions. Just glad to have you supporting us from day one. We really, really appreciate it. And as we continue to grow, your continued support means the world to us. So with that said, Connor, we are grateful to have you on. If you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about yourself, and then after where people can find you in terms of your channel and things and such.
Connor, are you there?
Yes. Just thanks for having me. A little bit about myself. I'm 22 years old. I just graduated college from Southwestern Oklahoma State, and I've been running this Twitter page called Writing Rangers. That's writing like you're writing something on paper, not riding a horse, but same. I've been running it for 2 years, and it's just been kind of a great outlet, I feel like, for people to come and enjoy the Rangers. I never want to be, too serious on there. I always want to kind of keep it light. I'm never going to go on there and, trash players like a bunch of outlets do, not outlets, but a bunch of people do on Twitter. And I just want to kind of be like that voice for my younger generation of baseball fans coming in.
Awesome. And sometimes you mentioned on Twitter, X, one thing I do love, I know sometimes X does have a bad rap for a lot of the, quote unquote keyboard warriors that are out there, and just a lot of negativity on there. But one thing that is awesome about it is when something happens real time and maybe you don't have that person around you where you want to just like comment about what just happened, get instant feedback. I love that outlet is available, especially at the end of a ball game or whatever. So I'm always grateful for those conversations and to be able to see that. So kind of diving into the 2024 Texas Rangers, obviously not where they were at this point last year, but as we've seen, their play is getting a little bit better. We've seen Houston Astros where they were at the start of the season, where they are now. So it's still very, very early. A lot of ball games left, and so they could very well be there at the end. So, and the date of this recording is July 25th, so it's still plenty of games left. So wanted to jump in before we even dive into this season's roster. Wanted to get both your quick takes on the All-Star weekend that took place there, starting with the Home Run Derby, the beautiful rendition of the national anthem, and the All-Star game. Just kind of around the horn, just kind of quick thoughts on the weekend as a whole, and why we think that the Major League Baseball All-Star weekend really is head and shoulders above the other leagues in terms of the product they put out there. Starting with you, Connor.
Yeah, well, I live in Texas. I live about 40 minutes from the ballpark, and I got to go over there. I got to go to Fan Fest, which was kind of underwhelming, but it wasn't really meant for me. It was meant for the younger kids, and you could tell the younger kids are having a great time. So, I mean, there wasn't much for the adult there, but there's obviously plenty for kids to do. And then I was at the Home Run Derby for that national anthem.
wow.
I was there in person, and honestly, it didn't sound as bad as it did on TV. It sounded like, all right, this is a little different version. Like she's kind of pulling out the art version, her own rendition of it, like, okay. And then towards the back end, it was like, all right, that's not very good. Like, I can kind of tell, like, in my ear, that's not good. And then when I got home, I watched it on my phone and on TV. I was like, I don't need to watch it. But then everyone said it was so bad. I watched it on, Twitter 1,000 times, and I was like, wow, that really is bad. Like, that was horrible. But the whole situation, she uh, put on Instagram the next morning she's going to rehab. So I mean, I hope she gets the
Hopefully.
help she needs. But yeah, it was really bad in the moment. But I did not get to go to the All-Star game. I did think it was a really good game. It just kind of goes to show how baseball runs All-Star, like weekend All-Star games. Like, it's still a very competitive game. It's not pros running around trying to put up as much offense as we can. Like in the NBA All-Star game, they just put up, 180 points, almost 200 points a game. The NFL has the Pro Bowl, which is not good. It's not competitive. Do they put on pads and helmets anymore? Or is it just like flag and
They don't.
these?
They hardly do that in the NFL. They put on those big mushroom pillow helmets,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, so that it shows how competitive MLB still is, and it's still in a great spot in the season where it's the peak of baseball interest because there's no other sport, no other big four sports going on, and it's still competitive. So I did think the jerseys were terrible. I think it should be flipped. I think the home run derby is where we should wear the, you know, city themed jersey, and then the All-Star games where we should wear the home whites and the road grays, and everyone gets to actually rep their city.
totally agree with you, Connor. Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
definitely. And your thoughts, Darren, on just on quickly on like the rule changes this year with the Derby. I mean, I know sometimes we're not big proponents of change. I didn't bother me too much, but were you okay with kind of how to play it out, or?
I don't want to sound like the old guy yelling at clouds because I'm certainly not. There's a lot of things that I do like in terms of change and updating, but a home run is a home run. Of course, you hit it farther, you get extra swings. Stupid, asinine. A person that can, get it over the fence. Yeah, I mean, I'm pregnant. I'm really pregnant. Maybe a home run is a home run. To me, you know, uh, that kind of irked me, but I get it. Like I didn't lose sleep over it. I did lose sleep over those terrible uniforms. I could not watch, so I had to listen to the game on the radio because it really bothered me that much. So, but I'm a fan, and I do this now sort of quasi for a living. So I had to listen to the game, and it was a good game. But one of the things is, and listen, I mean, the Rangers, they won the World Series last year. I'm a big Ranger fan for a couple of reasons. And people hear me say that every week, but I just love baseball. Ted Williams managed the Rangers at one point. I mean, this is a historic franchise, you know. But I remember when Toby Harrow was the best player on the team, and you wanted to see Toby Harrow go out wearing his home white, or like you said, the grays. Not this fakaka softball wannabe art project. It was really it did a disservice to the fans. Uh, and I traveled to Montreal to watch a All-Star game. So I get it. I was that annoyed with the All-Star game. The game itself was wonderful. And by the way, just about the young lady that sung the national anthem, shame on the people that put her out there. Because Michael, as you know, I've done a lot of behind the scenes stuff for that kind of thing. You didn't know that she was intoxicated. You made that. Now again, she has to take the blame for ingesting the alcohol or whatever. But the producers, the directors, shame on them.
Yeah,
Would you
it's
let? Would
almost like she
you?
just got like the limo, the cab, just run out there. It's time, go. I felt like
Yeah,
there was no time for
exactly,
rehearsal or anything.
exactly.
So kind of moving into the current product or the current roster this year for the Texas Rangers. So as the data recording, July 25th, they're 2.5 back in the division behind Houston at this time. Certainly can make that run. I do love that there's so many teams across the board that still legitimately have a chance. just a good 4 or 5 game win streak, and they're right back in the hunt. Those teams that are 3, 4 back in the wild card. So still a lot of meaningful games in September is best for the sport. But so Connor, just looking at the roster itself, obviously you could say it starts and ends with Corey Seager and Marcus Simeon, but is there one other person out there besides those two names that, if you're not a Texas Ranger fan through and through, that you may not be familiar about, but you should be? That kind of like that third guy that's really kind of propelling this kind of resurgence of what we thought the Texas Rangers would be from the start, that they seem to be getting back into.
Yeah, if I had to pick a player like that, it would have to be Josh Smith this year, easily. Last year, I think he was kind of our utility man off the bench a little bit, and he hit maybe 180 last year. I don't have that number officially in front of me, but this year it's been a 285 average, which has fluctuated about from 285 to 300, just kind of in there, ebbs and flows, obviously, baseball, with a 383 on base, 452 slug, and an 835 OPS. And an 835 OPS for him, who's not known as a power producer. Obviously, he plays the power position, third base, but he's not known for his power. He still has 10 home runs and slug over 400, which in my opinion for him has been propelling this team all throughout 2024. Ups and downs, he's been there all year. And it didn't really start that way. It started kind of like last year, but he just kept hitting the ball hard, kept doing his job every day. And he finds himself in the three hole, kind of anchoring the lineup when they need clutch hits. So credit to Bruce Bochy, where giving credit where credit is due to Josh Smith to be able to put him in the lineup every day.
Yeah, well, very well said. And Darren, I'd like to get your thoughts on this. One thing that I so much appreciate, and with Bruce Bochy in the lineup this year, is you look at, so Texas, as of this recording, they played 103 games, and a lot of teams out there, they're more concerned about the pitching matchup and the platoons and this and that. You have there's 6 individuals that have played 90 or more of the 103 games that they've played. So what that tells me is, even though maybe some of the guys were struggling a little bit early on, the confidence was there. They knew that this thing would get turned around. You have a team that's as talented as they are. It's going to all work out. And so there's something to be said for that. We're in a year now where, you're not going to see a lot of complete games. You're not going to see a lot of guys playing 162 anymore. And so when you see, Marcus Simeon playing 101 of 103, and Garcia and Tavares, 98, 99 of those games, it's just good to see. What are your thoughts on the Texas Rangers resurgence, Darren, like compared to where they were, and who kind of stands out for you?
Well, it actually dovetails into a question I was going to have a kind of later, because I'm a big believer in leadership, and Bruce Bochy is just a winner. You don't win as many World Series as he has. So he's not gonna panic when the team comes off with a hangover from winning the World Championship last year. The man's 6'3". He's a presence in the locker room. He's a winner. He's won with the Giants. He's won with the Rangers. He played the game very, very well at the highest level. And kind of down the road of this conversation, I want to know, what makes him so special. But you have Scherzer coming back, right? You have DeGrom coming back. You have people who can pitch, and all you have to do is get hot at the right time. Just get in the playoffs, and the Rangers will get in the playoffs. And that's all in my opinion, that's all they have to do in that new beautiful ballpark of theirs.
Yeah, and that's
what I wanted to also ask is, for those who don't know, tell us a little bit more about Nathaniel Lowe. First base, pretty high, on base percentage. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Nathaniel has been with us for a couple years, and we got him from the Rays, but he wasn't one of those pieces where he was going to always stick around like this is our first baseman of the future. We thought we might have to trade for one. We thought we might have to, just grow one out of the minors. And I'm trying to think of his name right now, Blaine Krim, who's been down in the minors, who's been good, but Nathaniel's just been better. And he started off really slow this year. Uh, he won a Silver Slugger in 22, I want to say, and then last year he won a Gold Glove. So even his game out a lot, he was not a good defender in 2022. I think he was statistically one of the worst. Again, I don't have that specific number in front of me, but this year started off really slow. Now he's got his average up to 266. And we've really seen a change in approach. He's not getting beat by the fastball as much anymore. He's really staying the other way, as to where before staying the other way, he was just getting beat trying to go the other way. He's made the adjustment. And again, all you need to do is get hot. He's been getting hot lately and being that mainstay in the lineup that he was last year. That really propelled us because last year, what did he hit? Let's see. He hit 262 last year, so 775 OPS, which he's just under this year. He's at 746. So he should be exciting to watch come this kind of trade deadline if we want to heat up and buy and then get the momentum rolling in the way that the club wants to get it and Bochy wants to get it, then he's always been a threat at the plate.
And there's a reason I bring him up. I'm sorry to cut you off, Mike, if you're going to say something there, because when we talk about Bochy, right? To me, this is Bochy's wheelhouse, right, Con? I mean, he gets a lot out of that backbencher, that person, that little who's shown potential, not a superstar. But if you think of the championships that he won with the Giants, who was the big player? He got a lot out of these guys that are pretty good.
Yeah,
That's Bochy's wheelhouse.
Yeah,
for sure.
for sure. Yep. And as we kind of move into the starting rotation, I'd like to talk about that just for a minute here because you look at some of these statistics and they don't jump off the page. By now a lot of the starters have thrown about 20 to 21 games apiece, and you see most people have 10 to 11 total decisions, and not really outside of Nathan Eovaldi at the 7-4 record. And every nowadays here in 2024, we maybe don't value wins and losses as we do other different statistics that they're still coming up with. But is Nathan the guy, or who's the guy that really needs to say, hey, I'm taking I'm putting this team on my shoulders in the rotation and getting us to where we need to be? Because I feel like there are names there, John Gray, Lorenzen, Andrew, that are more than capable, but I feel like it's time to really kind of kick it into gear. Is there a name that really you feel like could be that person?
I feel like you kind of nailed it with John Gray. I feel like definitely he is a starter and a bullpen arm, and he's shown that. I'm not sure if he or Dunning started the year in the bullpen when Cody Bradford, who's still hurt with back problems, I want to say, back spasms. Uh, he's just been always this underrated good, especially after he left Colorado, where it's damn near impossible to pitch. But this year he's 5-4. It doesn't really show that he's been able to work into these games and throw up 6 or 7 innings. And there was I think a 2-week stretch where he was just giving up hit after hit, and it was run after run. I think he was tipping his pitches. I think they got it fixed, but I think he's that arm that is gonna separate a postseason run. Like you need him to show up if you're gonna separate yourself.
I agree. Yeah, looking at those names, that would be my answer as well. Wanted to ask too, I know because with time, we have just a few minutes left, and but what I'd like to chat about is just the ballpark itself. And because here on the Around the Ballpark podcast, we love to dive into the rosters and that sort of thing. We always like to talk about the stadium. So talk about quickly about Globe Life Field, someone that might not be comfortable. I haven't been myself, but you mentioned you're from the area. So what's that experience like when you first walk in, and what are the must-dos for those attending that park for the first time?
Must do is there's a stand in there. It's called Hurtado Barbecue, and the line is usually semi long, but it is amazing. It's not your typical ballpark food. There's brisket, there's all sorts of barbecue in there. It's a must stop for me. Our gift shop, I guess our team store, not our gift shop. Our team store is absolutely massive. You can go look around in there. They have way more than just team gear. I would say if you can get into the Lexus Club, which is the club down, like if you're watching the game on TV, it's those people standing on the bottom of the screen, and that is like eye level with the field. I've never been in there for a game, but I've just seen videos of people watching from back there. There's one clip of last year, Aroldis Chapman was on the team, and he fires a 103-mile-an-hour fastball, gets away from the catcher, and it just beams all the way to the net. Like, and it's the net's right here to these people, so it's almost, you know, almost killing people behind the plate, and it's an awesome view. Any other? There's a bunch of clubs, not like, nightclubs, but there's a bunch of different places where you can get a special ticket and go, and it's something that other ballparks don't really offer because they offer more of a general attendance, like they have bleachers or they want everyone to have the same seat. Well, around the Rangers ballpark, there's side clubs, there's, a bar upstairs, the Carbach Brewing Place, which is another awesome view, and then just going around the ballpark and seeing all the cool history that it has to offer. I mean, recent history, I guess, first time the Rangers made the playoffs was 1996, but it's still cool as a Rangers fan to appreciate all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like an awesome venue, and I think uh, getting to see it in the big stage here over the All-Star weekend was good to see. I am a big fan of one thing I do like about the interleague play in terms of now not just one division, but you're playing pretty much everybody. You're getting to see not just matchups you haven't seen in a while, but you're getting just to look at some different stadiums, different ballparks, and things like that. And I think that's the best for the game. Seeing one thing we've talked about in the show a lot is not just individual players like baseball people. Fans should get to see more of guys like a Rosarina and Ellie De La Cruz and guys like that, but stadiums as well, different ballparks, and getting their first World Series championship last year. With so many good teams that they've had over the years. You read. It's always fun to just read through some of the talent over the years. And one thing that we love to do on this podcast, and I'll put you on the spot here quickly, and Darren as well, as we kind of wrap up. We've just got just a couple quick minutes left, but um, so Rangers franchise, storied franchise, a lot of talent, a ton of talent. So one of the things we do is a Mount Rushmore, and so trying to pick that for Texas was not an easy task. So I guess I will start with you, Darren. Usually I'll go first, but I'll pass to you your initial off the cuff Mount Rushmore for all time Texas Rangers.
Uh, Um, I would have to say, well, I mentioned it before. I was always a Toby Harrod guy because he was like the one bright spot when the team was really bad. I like Josh Hamilton, right? I mean, his whole story. Um, I don't know. I gotta say Nolan Ryan, right? I mean, say he threw his seventh no hitter, with them. And I'm trying to think. I'm drawing a shame on me, but I'm drawing a
So
blank
I'll
because I'm
say
certainly
this
not.
because you're a
I'm
big
certain.
catcher guy,
I'm sorry,
Darren.
go ahead.
So that's your hint there, big catcher guy. He'll come to
So
you.
I would say those three. Give me those three right now, and I'll wait.
Okay, you'll wait. We'll still build the fourth one. What about you, Connor?
Uh, I would have to say Adrian Beltre just got
Oh, there
inducted
you go.
into the Hall of Fame. He meant so much to Rangers fans, especially in just years we had nothing to root for. He meant so much. Him and Elvis, obviously. Next pick, Josh Hamilton. He won one of our two MVPs, and he was also just, a lightning stick in that absolutely loaded lineup in 2010-11. Next was Pudge Rodriguez. That's who I'm gonna
Thank you.
go
That's
with.
who I was thinking of.
Yeah,
I had a moment. I was like, was Pudge on that team? And I keep coming up in my head as a Marlin, But yes,
Yeah.
Pudge Rodriguez.
Yep. He's obviously one of the greatest catchers of all time, if
Hmm.
not, top three.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
and then yeah, my last pick was Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Express. He's from Texas, obviously, so that seems like an easy pick to me. But it was tough to leave off Michael Young, and then I think once everything is said and done, if it goes the right way, Seager will take Nolan's spot on the rush.
on the rest. Okay. And so I will agree with 3 of the 4 picks on my end. I also have Nolan Ryan. I also have Pudge. I also have Adrian Beltre. So I did not get Josh Hamilton or Michael Young on there as much as I wanted to, because my 4th and final choice was Juan Gonzalez, another guy
Hey,
with
can't go wrong with him. Don
non-state three,
Gonzalez.
just over 430 home runs, 295 lifetime average. So yeah, I mean, there's no wrong answers here at this point.
Well,
Definitely.
hey, Connor,
So much
before we
talent.
go, can I ask you 2 quick questions?
Yeah, sure.
Rafael Palmeiro, how is he
Mhm.
seen in the legacy of Ranger lore? Because he's
Uh,
a darn good player, but he got caught up in that whole steroid nonsense scandal.
right.
Is his name like sort of like persona non grata, or much like with the Mets? And I think this is a good comparison. Darryl Strawberry had all of those, problems with cocaine, but he's still loved by Met fans. So where is Raphael in Texas Ranger lore?
I would say it depends on how old you are, because
No, that makes sense.
guys like that have kind of been erased from the minds of these fans. Like, I think he threw out the first pitch at a game last year, and it was the first time he had been in a game, and I want to say 10 plus years. That could be wrong. I could be just spouting that off, but it's one of those things where if you're watching him in the 90s and the 2000s absolutely smashing the cover off the ball, then it's almost like, you can do no wrong in my eyes. Like steroids, whatever. Everyone was taking them back then, and only a
I
handful of
agree.
people got caught. It's the same way baseball fans have to look at McGwire or Sosa. It's like, yeah, you did that, and it's really just up to your personal opinion. Like, I see Palmeiro as a hammering first baseman. That's who I see him as. I see as one of
Listen, listen. Just I don't want to get on a pedestal with a soapbox, but baseball during that time, everybody was taking them, and 90% of the people were,
yeah,
and like so just say it was a steroid era, and give these guys their due. They were very good ball players.
for sure,
Palmero
no
was
doubt.
clutch,
Yeah.
clutch.
So yeah, it just depends on your age, and like obviously I see him as one of the great players in our franchise's history, because pre 1990 there was nothing. We had Jeff Burrows, he won an MVP. Obviously Ted Williams, you said, was managing the Rangers at one point, and then Jim Sundberg, Toby Harrah, but they didn't win anything. They were never that team to go out and win anything. So that was
Right,
kind of the first group that brought
that's
success
true.
into Texas.
Yes. And Darren, you said you had 2 before I asked my last question. You said you had one more, or
Well, yeah, and just what do you say to the people? I mean, you're younger, and I love what you're doing, and your podcast and talking about the Rangers, and to say that the younger generation just doesn't like baseball. What do you say to that? And what do you love about it?
Um, I think the younger generation is getting really into baseball. Obviously, played in kind of when I was growing up was kind of when like the true fans were really around, because most of my friends aren't into baseball the way I'm into baseball, but there are a few of us that are, going to dig deep in stats and think we should be the general manager of our favorite team. But the younger generation is coming up with these fun players like Fernando Tatis, with Ellie De La Cruz, with O'Neill Cruz, with Bobby Witt Jr., with Paul Skeens, with all these major heads in the game right now that are all under 25, that are all going to be huge factors in the youth game, to just show that baseball should be played in this fun way. You should have
Hmm.
fun. It shouldn't be this, it shouldn't be hardcore all the time. It shouldn't be, Bryce Harper fighting Hunter Strickland after throwing at him. It should be, if you want to throw at me, I'm going to hit a home run off of you, and I'm going to make sure you know it. But
yeah, very very well said. And and I think it would help too if some of our sports channels, ESPN and such, in the month of April, instead of having mock draft number 97 to talk a little bit
Agreed.
right,
baseball, that might be helpful in the scheme of things. Throw one or
right,
two mock drafts out there, but we don't need one every single day. So my
for
last question. This would be kind of just fun. Those that may not know of some of these names, but if we were looking 2 or 3 years crystal ball, if there is a prospect out there. So those that may not know, there's one in the MLB top 100. His name is Sebastian Walcott, shortstop. But is there any other names that you're familiar with outside of Sebastian that may be a name that others may say 2 years from now may be a pivotal part of piece for this team?
Yeah, there's a few that I'd like to kind of get out there that haven't been on the national radar. There are a couple that have been on the national radar, such as Kumar Rocker, Jack Leiter, obviously teammates. And Leiter, he's been up in the big leagues and he did not pitch very well. But he also got, hosed a little bit on some defense and on some, plays that should have been made and score keeping. I'm not going to say errors, but differences of opinion in how that score was kept. Kumar Rocker's just trying to come back off injury right now. He's going to throw in Double A, I think Saturday. What's today? Thursday? Yeah, he's going to throw Saturday. Brock Porter was our first round pick, 2022, I believe, or maybe not first round. I think he was second or third round. But he is another stud. He's in rookie ball right now, and he's only 21, but he is also coming back from injury. Some other names that are going to be really good, Emiliano Teodo. He was at the Futures game, and he throws like 98 very consistently. He's a starter. He throws absolute cheddar. And then you go down the list to guys like Mitch Bratt, who's in our number 20 spot. He started a World Baseball Classic game against Team USA. He was pitching for Canada, and he's been, I'll say good. I won't say really good, but I'll say good. And then I'm excited to see where he turns up. I'll say, if I had to pick one more, probably Justin Foscue coming back. He has two MLB at bats, and one of those is he might have one MLB at bat, and it was off Josh Hader for a single. So, I mean, the future, I don't know if we want to say it's, crazy bright, but we have to make sure some of these pitching prospects turn out the way we should. And that's kind of been the weakness, is developing our own pitching prospects. I think our last one we really developed that really came up and made a difference. I guess you could say Cody Bradford. I wouldn't say it yet, but the last one is really and honestly Derek Holland, that we have drafted and brought all the way up and has performed well. Probably Derek Holland.
Yeah, and I would encourage as we wrap things up here, I would encourage if your team is having a day off and you're watching the MLB Network or the MLB at Bat App and you're like looking for something to watch. One thing that Major League Baseball did get right is you can find a very high majority of the minor league baseball games from AAA even down to single A ball on the MLB app and everything, and so it'd be worth checking out your team if your main the major league team is not playing that night. Why don't check out who's to come. There's nothing better than seeing a guy when they're at rookie ball or single A ball and then get to see them make it to the show. It's an awesome feeling to be able to follow them along the way. Near and dear to my heart was got to see Daniel Murphy's one of his very first games at St. Lucie Met, and then to see where he came up and then how he finished was awesome. So, but thank you so much, Connor, for being on with us. Thank you again, Chris Bennett, National Tax Solutions. And I really do see Texas Rangers being in there at the end of the day. I feel like it'll be an interesting battle, three-way battle probably with Seattle if they can hang around as well. But just thanks everyone again for supporting us and following us. Until next time, we'll see you around the ballpark.